Sogle amche CCR TV Polinarank, my Goashetkar. We welcome you to this episode of Mechanized Farming. In order to accelerate the cultivation of crops in Goa, the Goa government undertook farm mechanization under RKVY from 2008-2009. Mechanized paddy transplanting has increased productivity by 25 to 30% and resulted in harvest at proper stage, thereby reducing the cost of production as compared to the traditional cultivation process. I am quoting this from the statistics available from the year 2015 and 2016. Goa has seen a decline in paddy cultivation in recent years. Farmers and landowners are reluctant to practice the conventional, labor-intensive method of raising nurseries and transplantation. In the past 10 years, the scene has not been good. What is the reason? The prohibitively high labor costs and manpower shortages. Land under paddy cultivation has reduced significantly to 31,000 hectares today from 50,302 hectares in 1961. This has led to large parcels of cultivable land lying fallow, which has in recent years become prime targets of real estate developers. Building activity on farmland is a danger to biodiversity, which has seen people protesting against environmentally destructive activities such as mining, coastal development, and irresponsible building construction. The need of the hour is the cooperative farming, and this is the only way to halt the rapid conversion of farmlands. Hence, the need towards reviving Goa's agricultural sector. It can be done if the youth takes up to agriculture. How? By using mechanized methodology with a new technology in Goa, and this is needed if we think of reviving farming. We have with us the stalwart in mechanized farming, a very, very successful story he will be sharing with us. It's my proud privilege on behalf of the CCR TV to welcome Father George Quadros.
Thank you very much.
We have also a very senior farmer and was also a sarpanch of the village during his days and interested totally in farming, and none other than Mr. Prasad Harmalkar. Welcome, Bab Prasad.
Thank you.
We said that the youth are not into farming, and most of our youth in search of jobs have migrated mostly to England and maybe some other places. The youth also look for doing some productive activity, but all of us, irrespective of our profession, we look at the end of the month for money. How much it depends on each individual, but any profession which does not give you money will not attract anybody for that matter, and much less the youth of today. We have set an example in Goa. Again, it is through Father George Quadros. You have motivated the youngsters to give up their cushy corporate jobs, and they have taken up to farming. The youngsters, there are all of them, 3 of them, who got involved with Father George Quadros, because you are the motivator, you are the inspirational factor for them. And we welcome Kenneth Lopish from Goashetkar with us. My Goashetkar, Bab Kenneth.
Thank you very much.
Father, the recent story, 40 वर्सां सालपेन लेखा कडेन फार्म आशिल्लें, जागे आशिल्ले, 40 वर्सां तांणी केन्नाच रोवंक ना. पूण तुवें एक मिलाग्री कशी केली, जशें देवान मिलाग्री केल्यो, सांगलें आनी मिलाग्री जाल्यो, तुवें एक कालूच एक मिलाग्री कशी केल्या. 40 वर्सां जे लँड रोग नाशिल्लें तुवें दाखयलें, रोयलें आनी भरपूर पीक जाली म्हणून आयचे पत्रकार न्यूजपेपर सांगता. तर कितें केलें तुवें?
There is no magic as such in this. It is just coordination and hard work. We respond to people's quest, and the people of Naveli approached us after seeing our work in different places and asked us come and see. So we went and saw, and then we sat on with them, had a meeting with them and said we can take it forward. We'll see what we can do. They showed us a vast expanse of land. We said in the first year, let's take a small chunk of it, 1 lakh square meters, and we'll work on it. People took time to come inside, but they were ready for it and they were slow to put their money into it. And so we said, let's start off. We will take the initiative of getting into the area, and we'll start off. You pay the money later. And we formed a scheme for this particular village, and in each village we have different schemes. Okay, for this particular village it was you just pay us 1 rupee for a square meter, that's all. Okay, and the produce is yours. Okay, 1 rupee, 1 lakh square meters, you pay us 1 lakh, and whatever you get the produce is yours. So they agreed on it very easily, because 1 rupee per square meter is nothing. Okay, and we took it as a challenge, because the sewage waste was there, and therefore we took it as a challenge, and we did it completely mechanization. Okay, there was no need for any farmer to put his foot into the field. Total mechanization, and that is I would say a lovely thing for everybody to see, that without human intervention in the land you can get a good crop, and a very good crop as reported on the papers yesterday, and everybody is happy. The whole village is in ecstasy these days, and the road is full of paddy drying on the road.
You tell me, 40 years, why do you think they could not put their hands?
They were putting their hands, but they were coming out with a lot of sicknesses. People were getting sick, there was a lot of rash on the body, definitely, and therefore they could not get into the field.
If there is a sewage, there will be definitely problems for the human beings.
So that's the reason why they neglected it. Besides the construction work that has come across the fields, all the debris is into the fields. So again, that whole process of cleaning the debris and all would take time. So he said, while you work on all that, let us start off and show that it can be done and can be done.
So what I have seen, Father George, you have been a very practical man as far as the product is concerned. Well, a lot of people have been talking. The agricultural policy now, everybody is talking and everybody is debating. There are 40 or 45 points about the land, about X, Y, Z. But what is important for me, as I say, correct me if I am wrong, at the end, you need money, and you invest, you need to be productive. And that's exactly what is the priority, if you ask me. Start cultivating the land. Prasad Bab, tu kide munta hajer?
Well, first and foremost, let me take this opportunity to congratulate Father for this initiative that he took, plus the work in the agricultural field that Father is doing for past so many years. Now coming to us, yes, see, I am a farmer since I was 18 years old, 16 years old.
As a youngster?
As a youngster, 16 years old, and since then I have not stopped taking care of my, or rather plowing my land. But there were certain constraints which were coming. Constraint in the sense, nowadays labor as it is a very questionable commodity, because you don't get people to work in the fields like what we used to have earlier.
I think that is the common factor, common problem everywhere for all farmers.
Yes. So that was our constraint, at least in Diwar. The second constraint in Diwar was that time and again the bunds, since we are in Khazan land, bunds used to break and the saline water coming into the My only request now to the government is to protect our bunds. We will take care of the fields. Simple as that. We
Yes,
can do it
yes,
very well.
yes.
Now, even last year also, I lost a lot of my product also to that. But never mind, we are going ahead now. But now, as father said, the way ahead now is mechanized farming. We initiated last 2-3 years. We've been trying, and this year, luckily, there another friend of mine who's a retired banker. He is now, and we formed a group. And believe me, from nearly about 10 to 15 fields that we are growing, this year we grew nearly to about 30 fields. 30 people came
that means
together.
you have doubled.
Yes, literally doubled. Because there was a person from Verna, Greg. He came in. Before that, there was another person called Dinesh who came in, but there was limitations that time. But last year when we got together, we gathered a few people, and when he way forward was there, he came in, and I have an old friend who actually used to tilt only my land from Thivim. He used to come all the way from Thivim. His name is Royston. He used to come with his tractor and do my field. So many people took him also. And first time I have seen the officer at the government in Donapala, the agriculture department who takes care of village, he was so forward in helping the farmers, that first time we have seen government tractors doing a good job in our fields. Otherwise, I have receipts of last 10 years also, which they used to come over there. They were, lethargic attitude. But first time he took that initiative, I was surprised. Many people, and more than double, in fact 3 times farmers came in and grew their farm. And
so that means the mechanization has accelerated.
Absolutely, and it will, because way forward is only that, because as father said, there is a possibility of even the farmer not putting his feet in the land, but producing out of it.
And I'm sure the youngsters would love it.
Absolutely, they would.
And since there are rewards,
Yes,
I'm sure the youth will say, yes, there is something in it for us.
In it. Yes.
And till then you forget about whether this land is there or not. Land is there.
Land is there.
So land has to be cultivated. This should be the prime motto.
Prime motto or the mindset of people should be like, yes, I am going to tilt my land. I am going to grow my land.
Yeah. So one does not need to wait for legislations for regularization, because we know how government is lethargic.
By the time legislations come, we will be in our grave, and I think children will forget everything.
So mechanization is
the way forward.
Is the way forward.
Yes.
Further, you all of a sudden took up after 40 years this Naveli. Was it connected with your success in Shishini? And if I am not mistaken, is Mr. Agnal Furtad, who got all the people together, and he also had a similar story. I don't know how many years it was not cultivable, and then again you were the instrument.
The people of Naveli came to Shinshini to listen and to hear and see what was happening, and that's what attracted them.
So they tested you.
They tested. They came and seen and
Okay.
believed.
So they believed.
Yes, they believed, and that's the reason why they invited me to the first farmers meet in the Panchayat office, where the Panch members also were there, and the Panch members together with the VDC was there. All of us went for a trip to the field. So that's how we got into this particular place.
And do you know how Mr. Agnal Furtad managed to start this community farming, so as to say?
Yeah, community farming. In fact, I'd like to make a little distinguishing factor on the way we work. There's community farming and there's collective farming. Okay, community farming is good, excellent. I'm not saying no. Okay, but it has little weaknesses. Community farming, people have to come for certain meetings, they have to get themselves registered, they have to give their signatures here and there. So people are a little allergic to all this. The moment they give signatures, and they prefer, don't ask me for my signature, don't ask me for my papers of my land. Okay, there is a little fear and mistrust. And then community farming, invariably there is little setbacks by way of people building mistrust first, then somebody hijacks the project, okay, then there's a little political interference into this thing
Correct.
because these people are come together, and therefore after some time it just crumbles and falls apart. So this is the good point of it. It's good because you get all your subsidies based on your documentation, and therefore putting up your fencing and all, you get the money from there, okay, because of this group factor. But then over the years it just crumbles and collapses, okay, for various reasons, some of which I have told you. The collective farming aspect seems to be doing very well, okay. We have a place like for example Naveli. Naveli did not register themselves. They are not a farmers group, no nothing, okay. They are farmers, okay, we all want to do this and we are doing
So
coming
this
together.
is absolutely totally practical.
Practical. Okay, and the government here seems to give a little understanding for this, and they don't ask for that real documentation that
That's
you are
good.
registered
That's
this
good.
and that. Okay, certain things they won't give you, but most of the things they do give you. So there are 30 people here. They have come together. No paperwork, no signatures, no nothing. You come here. This is my field. You take your field. Next fellow, this fellow is your field. We do all the work. All this production is yours. This year you are here. Next year you don't want to plant. Don't plant. We leave the place and plant somewhere else. If you want somebody else to plant, allow somebody else to plant.
I should say that you are a superb catalyst.
And
Prasad Babna,
Well, absolutely, absolutely. And I would take this opportunity like to invite, of course, father was the first mechanized farming in our island was started by father first.
Is it?
Yes,
In
yes.
Divar.
That time, unfortunately,
Father Diwar bhi Paulo tu.
Yes, long
in
time
fact,
back.
I had no knowledge about it. But then later on, I came to know the father initiated it, and it was rather than continued by his followers. Rather, his trained personnel. In fact. So I think father should come once again to our village for a small lecture at least, and I would be very happy. But as father said, yes, collective farming.
Collective farming.
Yeah,
Collective farming.
community farming was, as father said, the drawbacks are there, and they are quite that they are seen in our village also. Listen, it doesn't take you ahead. But then collective farming, absolutely what we applied this year without even, now father used the term collective, is that time my memory got brainwashed. Because what we did exactly was that. We collected farmers. It was not, Sare Baba, Korea, we did it. It was an experience, first time, so it was sort of a fire, struggle was there. But I am sure way ahead is very, very smooth and open for us.
And,
Only thing,
further when you have
one little point between
Yes,
just correctly fine.
sure.
Essential point. Farmers holding as little as 150 square meters were taken into consideration
Is it?
in
Yes,
collective
yes,
farming.
yes.
very
Okay, if his plot is within this radius where we are working, he also becomes a part of it. So therefore, a fellow like holding 150 square meters, he just pays us something like 300 rupees and he gets his field ready without any
I
big
mean,
hassle.
this is marvelous.
Okay?
Yes.
In that, because we charge something like 2 rupees 5 paise,
5 paise,
okay,
yeah.
2 rupees 5 paise per square meter. So with 2-3 operations in his field, he gets it for 350 rupees. What better way?
What I have been
Yeah.
admiring in you, Father George Quadras, you have introduced, you have progressed, but you are always adding new, better, higher components in technology. Now, in this, I was told that you have also introduced the drones.
Yeah, drones. I think better person to talk about the drones is Kenneth.
Is Kenneth.
Okay, I have the knowledge,
Oh.
but he's far better. Okay.
Do you think
Yeah,
so?
we should pass it on to him. that question.
I'm sorry that I couldn't.
He's an
come up.
aeronautic engineer,
Yeah.
so we handed over the drones to him. Okay.
But the beauty of this is what I would say is father has not let his age be a constraint. Despite his age, he is up to date with all the machinery, and everything that comes in new is discussed threadbare with him before. So we have a very intense think tank session which goes on before, and then all the machinery comes in. And there's a lot of research which goes on with the machinery as well. It's not that you just get the machinery in, you have to cater to the field conditions. Goa presents a lot of challenges compared to other states. The topography that we have sometimes is not best suited to these machines, wherein they operate in vast areas. So when you have such kind of hindrances, it requires you to improvise. So that improvisation part in Goa especially, I would say, is very, very important. I was listening to Prasad and Diwar again.
Yeah.
Kazan lands over there present certain challenges which are not kind of found in different parts of our country. Again, Kazans is something which is part of our heritage. It is something very unique to Goa and it needs to be preserved. Yet at the same time, we need to find ways how we can introduce technology and it
But
can
one
be-
has to move with the time.
Yes, yes. So you have to move with the times, because from a viewpoint of the youth, that is something which is spoken very often. We want youth to come in, because at the end of the day, if you don't take it up, it will be all lost. But there have been many studies, but one particular study which I would like to kind of point out over here was done in Lithuania. And Lithuania, like our India, also was an agrarian society. But same problem, youth going out. And one may think it's a problem only specific to India. We have a labor issue over here, but it's a worldwide issue. The average age of the farmer here in India is 50 plus. And if you think that's old, just look at the figures that Europe says. Europe says he's 58 plus. America says he's 64 plus. But they're doing well. How are they doing well is the introduction of technology. So coming back to Lithuania, there was an actual detailed study done by all stakeholders, including the government. And they interviewed the youth. A lot of youth said we are disinterested. The stereotyped image of the farmer, that man working in the field, he's sweating, he is covered in dirt from head to toe. It's not appealing at all. The returns are very marginal. So most of the youth said, oh, that's not something which appeals to us, and rightly so. Some of them said, yes, we don't know enough. Maybe if we are educated, we have thought about it, maybe we think about it. Some outrightly said it doesn't appeal to us at all. But in that study, there were many parameters. But one which caught my attention was 60% of the youth said they would look at farming, they would look at agriculture with the introduction of machinery and technology in it. And I think therein lies a very, very important...
So that means it is the need of the hour.
It is the need of...
And it should be the elderly people who are already accustomed to their own ways. You see, elderly people don't want to be disturbed. So I think this is a section of the people who are coming in the way of the youth.
Yes.
Also.
Yes. And from our point of view, what we are also doing is, this concept of this thing that you've just spoken about is the youth. We have children coming in, school children. And the excitement that you see on the faces of the children, the moment you take them on the transplanting machine, the moment you show them this harvesting operation. For me, myself, when I saw that harvester for the first time, that was my introduction into agriculture. Coming from an engineering background, I thought the same stereotyped image. But when I saw this machinery, and it's the latest. If you talk about drones, what Father is saying, it is limitless. Where we are heading to with artificial intelligence, the technology, even the transplanters today, brilliant, can be driven by a computer. You program your details in, it plants by itself. So that labor problem, which is huge, can be tackled. There's a lot of scope. Drones, yes, I believe are the future. There is GIS mapping. There are some components which we are introducing in Goa. There are a lot of pilot projects that we are undertaking. But drone technology for me,
But in Goa, I feel that you are the pioneers in the drone technology.
Yes, we are. Father was, in fact, he is the owner of Goa's first agri-drone. So we have Goa's first certified pilot, an agri-drone pilot. Stanley, part of our team, is Goa's first. So yes, we do believe that drones have a very important role to play, whether it is surveying the area, that there is a very critical role that you play over there, whether it is plant care that you can also look at. So huge potential. There are areas which are inaccessible. We are doing a project, or we are in the process of doing a project in Ozari, and the field is covered now because it's fallow. How do you know the topography of that field? No one is going in there. So we use our drones. We go in, we survey the area, we know exactly what is where. And on the basis of that, that becomes a live data collection for us over there itself.
So I was told by Father George that three of you got together and formed an organization. What is it?
Yeah, the name of our organization is called Goashetkar. Again, credit to it goes to Father. And just like us, he has also trained a lot of other youth. So here is a man, I think, again, credit to him, that he's also getting the next generation ready. And it's important
And
because
who is there in Goashetkar now?
in Goashetkar we have Neville, we have Stanley and me. So the three of us.
So three of you.
Three of us, yes.
And you all gave up your cushy corporate jobs, which were handsome payment,
Yes.
and you took up onto farming.
Yes. I think we were very impressed by what father was doing.
So he was your mentor.
He continues to be our mentor, and he continues to be a vital part of our team as well. So there's a lot of association which still goes on. Whether it was the Shishini project, whether it was the Saipai Lake project, we were very much part of the team over there. So yes, three youngsters joining in, following in father's footsteps. But very importantly, I also think once you get to know the kind of work that you're doing, and it generates a kind of passion within you. And the passion also is basically to see that agriculture in Goa doesn't die. It has got to survive. It needs the youth. We need to get our youth back into agriculture.
Prasad Gop, do you agree with what Kenneth has shared with us?
Of course. But then I agree to every word which Kenneth and father says. But at the end of the day, there are some limitations. Now, father doesn't have 10 hands so that he can take care of the entire Goa. So
Yes,
there lies
definitely.
the question wherein now since father initiated everything, most of it, it's his followers, right, his students who have to take it up all over Goa.
Yes.
Now, when it comes to my village or certain areas which are there where father doesn't have access, or his followers or his students doesn't have the access, wherein we have to create an infrastructure which will help the farmers. Of course, there are costs involved. At the end of the day, the biggest question mark is the cost, because the
Yes.
machinery costs money. There is support from the government, but that is not sufficient, I would say. So people need to come together. We need farmers to come together who have got the intent to cultivate their land. If there are more the merrier, they say. So once there are more people, the cost also will drastically reduce.
Yes.
So this is what my call at this point of time to every farmer is, that come, create not a community as father said, but come collective, be friends with each other. There should not be, see, in Goa we have something called as the crab mentality, which prevails all over.
It is there. And Goans are very, very famous.
Famous for
The
that.
moment you go up, there
Yes.
is somebody else or two or three others to pull you down,
try to
and
pull.
they enjoy it.
Enjoy doing it. So my thing is that let's come collective. Everybody has got faults in them. I have faults in me. There are other. Let's not point to faults, but let's see the positive in every person. Come collective and cultivate our lands.
Don't you think so that Father George has proved all this wrong and says, no, we go ahead?
He has. That's why. No, I am telling you exactly what it is. He has proved every person wrong when it comes to farming over there. He has follow lands which are lying, as you said, 40 years down. He has made it like gold,
Yeah.
literally. So why can't we do it? Of
It
course,
can be
of
done.
course,
It can be done.
guidance from
Yes.
father we can take, and we can do it. Why can't we do? So that's the reason. Only thing, we have to be collective.
Yes.
We can't
Yes.
individually. We cannot fight this.
No,
Like if
no,
I have a small
no.
3,000, 4,000 plot of land, and if I am thinking that I would do wonders in it, it's unless and until you put your feet in it and you toil your day out, you cannot do it. But mechanized farming, yes, the cost, to reduce the cost, we need collection of people. We need people to come together, and there, because I have seen it this year. Of course, we had taken services from many other people for tractors, for plowing, for everything, for transplanting. We took services from people. But yes, at the end of the day, the cost was reduced, and we are seeing the fruits. Today, people are seeing fruits. The corn is up. The
Yes,
gold,
it
you can
is.
see the
It
gold
is.
literally.
It is.
And that is, I am sure, if at all, today we had about 30 or 40, nearly doubled. I am sure next year there would be much more, and it will be a difficult task for us to handle everything. But we will.
But if we have Father George,
Yes.
would you be able to guide the youth in future? Because they will need guidance from you.
We are open to that. Okay, we are open to that. Anybody who comes and wants training, we are ready for it. We are ready even to go to villages. They invite it. It has to become a need base. If they invite, then we go.
Absolutely.
If not, what happens? It becomes a waste of time if we go inside, and then we have to sort out all the issues of the village first. It is a long process.
Long process.
So once the village is ready, we are ready.
Yeah.
Talking about collective farming, which you are so much impressed about also, we are also impressed. The whole thing is in our mind the whole time.
Yes.
And people now are looking huge areas. So we also looking at huge areas. Okay, suddenly you find a huge stretch of 6 lakh square meters, 5 lakh square meters. They ask me, can you do it? I said, yes, we can do it. And the reason why we can do it is collective farming of what? Collective farming of service providers.
So it's fine.
Okay.
Right,
Now we are in Shinshini. This year we planted 1,78,000 square meters in a single day.
In a single day.
Single-
Yeah, 1,78,000 in a single day. Okay, from morning to evening. But we had 6 transplanters working. Okay,
6
the whole day.
machines.
Yes. 6 transplanters, about 5 tractors were working, all continuously working. It was a beautiful scene in Shinshini.
Absolutely.
So we are looking at that type of
So
work.
you have attracted now
Yeah.
these youngsters. They have been working with you. Are you happy with them?
Very happy with all of them. Okay, and we keep a certain amount of ethics.
Yeah.
Okay, so if somebody is not doing things well or overcharging this and that, we little tighten up.
Tighten up.
Because tomorrow most of them come back to me because they need help.
Yeah.
This, that, and the other. Be it machine, be it this, be it confusion in the whatever operations that they have. They come back. No?
Yes.
So if you want to come back, you follow some sort of
Follow some
rules.
rules.
So with those rules, we progress very well.
When they approached you or you approached them, I don't know what is the way.
Which one? This group? or-
This group.
this
yeah,
group.
Yeah. Were you happy that they came to you first and you believed that they would continue?
Before them, I trained other guys. Then finally, one fine day, 2 of them walked up to my place. And I looked at them, I said, this won't work. I said, these guys will not go into the field because they look,
Polished.
They had the banyan of
Louis Philippe. is it?
Louis Philippe, yeah. Okay, the brand, everything was branded on them. Okay, even the chappals were branded. How can you think of these guys getting into farming? I said, no, this won't work. But then they were still, no, we won't. You'll work today? Yeah, we'll work today. I said, you will start? You'll carry mud? Yeah, we'll carry. And they started carrying soil and working with other workers, everything. And they worked with me for a month. Okay? Then I knew these guys were serious about it. Then I did everything possible to help them to take off. And today they are well off. They're charging behind me to reach my standards. Okay?
Yeah, but
That is good.
Every time we try to catch up with him, he just goes a lot further.
I have to run away further. Okay, I'm not.
But are you
Will
happy?
not progress.
Are you happy having changed your profession?
Yes, very happy, very happy. And like I said, it's also about conserving for Goa. And the focus is any drive through most of these villages, you find so much of fallow land over there. And it is sad. It is actually very sad to see that land lying fallow over there. The fact that we can make a small difference is very comforting. The experience that we had yesterday in Naveli, in Saipai Lake, seeing those farmers, hearing the stories from farmers saying, Itle orsan. They were literally in tears, many of them, because they never expected it to happen over again. And they said, you know, the gratitude that you see, the happiness, it can't be put into words. It's just something else. No amount of money can give you that kind of happiness.
So there is now, you are creating a sort of a passion back with the villagers.
Yes, most definitely. It's identifying, you're learning at the same time. There's so much that you're learning, so much that we need to learn. And I believe for the youth, again, to take anything forward, you need to know where you're coming from. That is very important. Your roots are important. And through this, you see that interaction with these older generation. You learn so many things. Yes, we talk about modern technology. Yes, we talk about science. But there are so many components that our ancestors, that this older generation also did beautifully. So we take that. I believe it's an amalgamation of what is good of the past with what modern technology.
So you need to have a holistic approach.
Absolutely.
Yes. Father, real estate has taken over almost because it's more profitable for them. So do you think legislation will be necessary?
Legislation would be necessary, but we cannot wait for that. Okay?
Yes.
So as you said in the introduction, we've got to make sure that we utilize our land. we talk about land utilization, maps and all that, documentation and all that. Let us utilize it.
Yeah.
In the meantime, you do your talk about all that. Okay, that will take its own time.
So you need to now lay your priorities.
Lay your
and priority number one is cultivate the land. Prasad Babu?
Yes, as you said about legislations, yes, the government is, we're just looking at a small bright hole which is just in the form of that agricultural policy, but we really don't know whether it is a farmer friendly or a construction friendly policy is going to be. People are fighting for it, we are looking for it. But there are, if you ask the government is also pro with its limitations, but it's against the farmers also, what I would say. But that's the reason, as father said, we have to fight it out. No, there is a saying in Konkan, "Apun melashway sorg disona." So unless and until you go into there, you will not be able
never
to
understand.
See, I'll tell you why it is happening into our village. Suppose I'm just taking an example of an island which is protected with a band or rather a bandara. We only need as I said, and I'm stressing it once again, the government to protect our land, the bandaras, so that the saline water doesn't come, because people are putting in hard work. People will grow, as father said, collectively people will come, put in little money, whatever, maybe first time little extra money, and when you are about to take your crop away, if one of the bandaras broke and the saline water comes in,
It's finished.
That's basically was the modus operandi of some of these wicked minds in our village and into the government. It rested in the Mamladar's office, actually. It started from there. So these wicked policies were that a farmer, he had certain limitations of fighting it. So he would grow, take loans, and then when the crop is about, the bandaras would break, or rather it was broken purposely. And that's, but of late what has happened, even in our village at the moment, there are small breaches which we are asking, we are pleading with the government and to ask. But it is only the farmers who have to come. Now if you told you depend on Mamladar, if you depend on tenants associations, if you depend on those high words, who are are going to protect you? No, the farmer has to come out himself, he has to work for it, and yes, then he'll have to fight it out in certain. But as father is taking care of certain lands, they are blessed, because they don't have these restrictions of the crop going follow, something going wrong. Yeah, of course there are natural calamities sometimes which can happen, but this is a created natural calamity which comes specially for villages like us, the Khazan. And yes, we have to go ahead, only plead and pray to God that something disastrous as breaking a band doesn't happen, and we get our crop well.
Also, they talk now of late that the government is building national highways, and most of the national highways are passing through these lands, the fertile lands at one time, and this is where the real estate people are involved, because if there is a road passing by, the land cost goes high.
Absolutely.
And you are destroying the cultivable
the rich
land.
farmlands, rich farm. See, this is where the government has to pay, and I think it's high time that people also should, put on their thinking caps as to who they are going to elect. In the progressive governments that we have, following governments that we come, because we need people who can think for the people, not for themselves. At this point of time, sorry to say, I think 90% of the people sitting there are thinking for themselves rather than for farmers. I am really skeptical also about this agricultural policy that comes, because I remember fighting for the CRZ also. It has become into a disaster, especially for farmers, the communities. But what you said is absolutely right. The highways going through the fields, the value. But now the only thing what we can look forward to and pray that in this policy there is a strict rule that any agricultural land cannot be converted for any other purpose rather than agriculture only.
That's pretty good.
That's the only thing what we can hope for.
I think, Father George, you are not bothered about all these problems because your concentration, your focus is on the land and make it cultivable.
Yeah. Two things. I'm also a member of the committee for the formulation of the
Is
policy.
it? Is it? Okay.
So I'm thinking that side also,
Okay.
not only on this side. Okay.
Okay.
I'm happy I'm there also, so that I can also give my views of all this process of forming a policy, and plus listening to everybody around the place, all the farmers and all, we know what we are looking for in this policy. In this policy, I would look very brightly if we are talking about fallow lands, basically, agriculture is not happening in Goa. And where is this fallow land? It's in the fields. It's not in the mountains and all that. Okay? And it is the fields that need to be attacked in the first place. Anybody driving, you see fallow lands, fallow lands, fallow. What is this? Okay? All that we are saying is, you come to us and we'll show you the way. Okay? You have to be willing to do it. We'll show you the way. No matter what quantity, we will get things organized and we will show that things are possible. Okay, so that we get our lands back to its original. Okay, so that tomorrow we are safe with regard to our food. Today the price of rice has gone up. Okay, even the suroi rice is gone up, tremendously gone up. Okay, so rice is going to be costly over a period of time. People will look to coming back. We've got the way.
And rice is the major crop in Goa?
Major crop.
Yeah. And then will you also, in your agricultural policy, will say, okay, rice growing is over. Now you take up something else and make use.
Yes, millets, whatever.
Yes.
You can do all these things.
Yeah, you had a very good example, or we had a very good example in Shishini.
Yes.
Wherein post rice, we grew Osande.
Osande.
Yes. Yeah. And again, if you look at it, it's again part of the old culture of farming in Goa, multi-cropping. While one may think, you use n number of fertilizer and you'll get a result, it doesn't work that way. The fertilizer doesn't work by itself. It requires the bacteria in the soil. Legumes are known to have bacteria in the roots and in the soil which convert your nitrogen into nitrate, which is absorbed by the plant. So there's a lot of science which our ancestors were doing, just that they could not explain it to us. Today science is able to tell you. So you take a lot of these old concepts. Shishini was great, wherein we had Osande growing over there and we sold. And it was very much in demand at that point in time. So yes, there is a lot more. Paddy is the main crop. You start there, and as you move forward,
but you diversify. Ultimately,
yes.
Yeah. Do you think so? Your technology will grow in Goa?
It is growing. It's not that it will grow. It is growing. We see the amount of machinery which is coming in, and that's all because of results. It's a practically operating field, is what I would say. You see the results, and you move. And some of the manufacturers, I think, now are also open to our suggestions. We've given some of the suggestions because we found with our experience that certain components of the machines are not suited to Goan conditions. So you work around that. There is a way forward. There is always a way forward. And yes, I believe machinery, even if you're looking at small farmers, sometimes what Prasad Bab said, self-reliance. They create their own small groups. Maybe individually he'll not be able to afford a small machine. But coming together as 5 or 6, they would be able to get a machine of that sort and take it forward.
Yeah, in this line, I think the CSR activity of the companies in Goa should focus on agriculture, especially because we are going into the machinery. The government sometimes will not be able to subsidize these machines to that cost. So these companies around surely can come inside and bring about that change. Okay, if they start investing, it will be nice. I don't see any companies getting into agriculture in Goa. Okay, they are getting into all sorts of other things, but not using that CSR fund for this. It will be a very impressive thing if they do it. I'm sure some of them will be watching and will get impressed by what we are doing and will take the initiative to do it for Goa.
Is the whole world, rice producing world, for example, you have got Vietnam and so many other places, are they also in this technology driven?
Yes, it is technology, because the age of the farmer, that is a stat right there. He's old, he's aging. And the only way is you get the youth back through technology. He is not going to come back. I mean, speaking from personal experience, if you were to ask me to go and walk in the fields right now, I would say, sorry, I'm not doing that. That's not for me. But you've given me a machine, and I'm on that machine probably sometimes for 8-10 hours in a day. It's fun. It's enjoyable. And we've seen it with the youngsters. Our children today, my own daughter, my nephew and niece, they enjoy coming on the transplanter. So therein you've already created kind of liking for agriculture without them even knowing it. Introduce the technology. It's a generation which looks at technology and see how far you can go forward.
So I think it is a collaborative farming which is a way forward for us to convert all the lands. Prasad Bab?
Yeah, it is, of course. Technology, and we have to, as he has requested the operators to, adjust their machinery to the land. Now, especially, I was having a talk earlier with father, and we understand that Kazan land is, your knee is going deep, and sometimes what happens, the machinery also gets stuck in.
Yeah.
But we experimented it. I was telling this Royston boy who came in, we experimented. First he used to use the plows and then use it. But last 2 years he just used a rotavator only. And that rotavator doesn't get much deep. So I think that is the most ideal for Kazan lens, unlike the old traditional of using the discs and plows. So this is how, yes, going ahead we will. And
we have to. So Father George, you have set the ball rolling. You have demonstrated, you have proved, and one now needs to replicate this model. Father Quadros has demonstrated that mechanization, land pooling, community or collective farming can work and make Goa's rice fields a working reality once again. Congratulations to all of you for the great work that you are doing, and I'm sure you will preserve this land for the posterity for Goans. Thank you very much, Father Quadros. Prasad Bab, thank you very much, and Kenneth, keep on doing the wonderful technological work that you are doing. God bless all of you.
Thank you.
Thank you.